Hi, my name is Jared Porter. I'm the executive chef at Cleaverman Steakhouse at the Arizona Center at 3rd Street in Van Buren. What Cleaverman is a retro version of an American steakhouse. We wanted to do some takes on classics with a fresh approach, kind of a throwback to the Chicago, Manhattan, Vegas steakhouses of older days. So first dish we're going to make for you today is one of our staple seafood dishes, is a seared sea scallop with tomato butter. First things first is we're going to heat our pan with a little bit of oil, and then we're going to season our scallops. These are beautiful U8 East Coast, Rhode Island, Connecticut scallops that we get from a local vendor that we do a lot of our seafood procurement with. The beauty part about these scallops is that they're plump. They hold up well to the searing, and the best part of it is that we're trying to showcase some great products executed super simply, not overblown, not a bunch of sauce work, just a beautiful protein, cooked correctly, presented simply, and then that way the guests have a beautiful finished product with not as much fuss or being overly tampered with. We want to showcase the product and not anything else besides that. So our pan's starting to smoke a little bit. We're going to start the sear. We're going to get a nice hard sear on the scallops. Best part about scallops is when they sear very hard like that, caramelization happens, and that's what we want. We want that flavor. We want the concentration of flavor. You want, even if you're cooking something like this at home, you want a high heat, good neutral oil that doesn't incorporate too much flavor. You want high heat, seasoned simple, and just a great sear. So I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to the backside. You want that crust. You want to be able to see that sear like that. That's when you know you're actually making, developing flavor on the scallops. Scallops cook super quick. If you're doing, again, if there's something that we were to make in the restaurant, we're going to cook them in the moment. Something quick, nothing too crazy. We want just a good hard sear on it without overcooking it. Overcook a scallop, gets really rubbery and tough, and that's not the flavor or the texture that we're looking for. We're going to let those cook for just another moment on that side. In the meantime, I'm going to add a little bit of cold butter to it. What the butter does is it kind of cools down the pan, but it also gives it that nutty flavor that we're looking for on the scallops. Then we're going to baste that scallop with that butter, allowing the butter to brown and get that nice nutty flavor. So I've taken it completely off the heat, and just the residual heat of the butter, and the pan is going to cook those scallops the rest of the way through. Nice hard sear on the top. Next part of the dish is we're going to build a little salad. I'll build it over here for you. We're going to build a little salad with some Castelvetrano olives, simple slice in the Castelvetrano, some crispy garlic that we've sliced super thin and toasted. This dish has kind of like Spanish, Italian kind of roots with the toasted garlic and with the olives. Then we're going to just do some herbs with our dill, chives, and some flat leaf parsley. I'm going to add a little drizzle of seasoned herb oil to it. So that's our salad. That's going to be the simple garnish for it. And now we're going to go to the plate. Sauce work for this is a really great tomato butter sauce. It's just got some tomato puree, a little bit of shallot, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of lemon juice. So it's just nice and rich, and it has like acidity to combat the sweet kind of butteriness of the scallop. Okay? One. And these are one of the options. They're like a la carte style, to where guests can choose a protein-based dish like this, and then have the option to add sides, a salad, something just as a little accompaniment to the dish without feeling like they have to order a big version of a composed plate. We're just going to toss these together a little bit just to kind of coat the greens with the oil, and we just want to plate it right in the middle, give it a little height, a little dimension. We got a few more pieces of garlic, another little bit of olive, and then we're going to use the same oil just for as a color contrast inside the sauce. Season the sauce a little bit more, and that's the dish. That's the scallop dish here at Cleaverman. Seared U8 scallops are beautiful with tomato butter. One of the other dishes that we have is a great raw bar program. So we have a tuna carpaccio that is a pressed fresh tuna with some smoked almonds, a little bit of apple brown butter vinaigrette, some pumpkin seed oil, some fleur de sel, and a little bit of lemon oil. So it's a great, refreshing, savory dish, but very light and delicate. And this is one of our odes to the steakhouse, the classic steakhouses of New York. And Peter Luger is famous for the tomato and onion salad. And this is our version of the Luger's tomato salad. So I really would hope that you enjoy what you've seen, and look forward to seeing you here at Cleaverman at the Arizona Center. Hello, I'm Jared Porter. I'm the executive chef of Cleaverman Steakhouse at the Arizona Center, located at 3rd Avenue in Van Buren. What Cleaverman is a homage to the classic steak institutions of the U.S. We wanted to take classics, a classic approach, a classic feel, a classic vibe, and, you know, freshen it up, make it modern, make it feel contemporary, but also a throwback at the same time. We want it to feel like you walk into a classic steakhouse in Chicago, Manhattan, or Vegas, and kind of be transported, but also feel like you're very well taken care of, and it's a very opulent space. But, you know, the idea is for us to make you feel special and highly taken care of. It's a great space, and the food is great as well. So the biggest part of what we do is our steak program. First today is like I have a simple flat iron steak that, you know, the steak that these are one of the steak cuts that we offer during lunch. We offer a variety of steak cuts throughout the restaurant, up to 9. And I have some samples that I'll show of the variety of steaks and the grading, the aging, the point of origin. So it's a big part of what we do is the steak program. Obviously, with being a steakhouse, it's the most important part of what we do. So that goes into the broiler. You can see we have some cuts working already. These are flat irons. That's a 6-ounce fillet. All these are like high prime beef, purchased from a company that's called Meats by Lynn's. All the best steakhouses in the country are using them, so we felt it necessary to use them as well. And these are just some sample cross sections, generally speaking, of what we offer in the restaurant. This is a 20-ounce bone-in ribeye cross cut, so the bone is exposed completely, and it sears in the broiler and has an amazing flavor. High marbling. This is Australian beef tenderloin, 10-ounce. These are Australian Wagyu, high marbling, high fat content, very rich, very flavorful. We also do Australian lamb program. Australia and New Zealand are known for their lamb production, and so we utilize that to our benefit, as well as a Australian New York strip as well. So guests can get all their classic cuts in a variety of different grading. We also have Japanese A5, right? So Japanese A5 is the highest grade, highest fat content. We offer a couple of different versions of that. We offer in a rib cap, which is a very prized cut, and a New York strip. So the idea is for us to be able to expose the guests to a number of different cuts throughout their journey in the shop, and they can find exactly what they want. If they want to be adventurous and see something that we've never had before, then we have that for them. If they want to go old school and just get a great boneless ribeye, we have that as well. So, you know, the simplicity is in just the broiling of the steaks. You know, we want it to be the meat, searing, you know, salt, and have a great representation of the product. So we have the flat iron there. We also have a dry aged New York strip, which is an amazing cut. And one of the best parts about what we do is the dry age program. Like, I think the dry age program is something that is very, might be unfamiliar to most guests, but we try to be very mindful of what people's tolerance is for it. So we only do a 30-day dry age across the board. Thank you. 30-day dry age across the board. It adds like a nuttiness, like a little bit of like an umami flavor to it. It's a great barrier of entry for our guests to come in and have something that they've never had before as a 30-day, as opposed to going into 45 and 60-day, which is a little bit a higher aging process. But what it does is it develops a ton of flavor in that aging process, kind of concentrates the fat content, and makes a super, super flavorful steak. So what we like to do is, like I said, just simplicity at its finest, right? We do give them a little brush of brown butter and tallow. So we have added a little bit of beef fat and a little bit of brown butter to the final topping of the steak. And then we also do like to finish with a little bit of sea salt, just to kind of, you know, anytime you're cooking a steak and you have anything exposed, once you added heat to it, you want it to be able to absorb flavor. So that's the simplicity process. All the steaks are seared, salt, tallow, brown butter, that's it. And we want the guests to enjoy the true pureness of the product. So that is the dry aged 12 ounce, right? So the next dishes that I brought out are a classic, and then one that's kind of a decadent, indulgent kind of like dish. We do a classic escargot. You know, a lot of steakhouses are known for those things. We do a number of different gratins. Escargot is classic, so it has a little bit of shellfish bechamel, has some white cheddar, and it has the puff pastry on top, and it's just like classically scooped out of those little gratin dishes. We offer this a version of this in lobster as well as king crab. And then one of our other dishes is a kind of decadent, you know, great table share item, and this is our duck fries. The duck fries are duck confit, steak fries, grated white cheddar, has a little bit of foie gras bordelaise, so a foie gras red wine sauce on the base there, just so it stays nice and rich. It's kind of like a funky, cool version of poutine, minus all the gravy and all the cheese curds. So it's just kind of like manipulated a little bit, just to give us a little bit of finesse and a little bit of texture, without, you know, all those things. And what we do at the very end is we add a little bit of foie gras emulsion. Now this is like a foam that we do made out of foie gras, marsala wine, a little bit of heavy cream, and we just add a few dollops of it just to richen it up, just for some decadence. And that's the dish. That's the duck fries. Super popular, great table share item. So hopefully you can come and enjoy some of these things at Cleaverman.